January marks the deepest point in winter and often arrives with mixed messages, new beginnings and fresh starts, alongside low light, tiredness, and the feeling that we really ought to be doing better already. In this video, I'm going to be looking at black dogs, mythical, metaphorical, and real. We'll also take a look at life in the studio and what's happening seasonally in the countryside. There are deer in the field just over there. January is often framed as a time of resolutions and ambition, but it's also when many people feel flat, unmotivated, or overwhelmed. Well, I've been looking into how artists have explored this time of year, not just by depicting the climate, but by exploring the ideas and sentiments that come to the fore. With temperatures regularly dipping below freezing, and frosts and even snow adorning the hedgerows, my first thoughts went to the cold, snowy landscapes of art history. I wanted to take a slightly different tack for this episode though. I began by thinking about resolutions, how we use this time of year to set goals and resolve to do things better or learn new things. It reminded me of this beautiful old drawing by the Spanish artist Francisco de Goya called I'm Still Learning. Made in 1826, it shows the artist at around 80 years old, using sticks and supposedly having to learn to walk again. It's a bittersweet image, but there's a hopefulness under it that we can all take something from. Francisco de Goya is one of my favourite artists, especially his black painting series, painted when he was in his 70s after moving into a little house known as the Quinta del Sordo, or the deaf man's villa. Despite a successful career in the Spanish court, he had become disillusioned with the world. He was scared he was going to go mad. These paintings are the result of an honest reckoning with himself, where all his fears and anxieties are let loose on the walls of the house. He paints with this wonderful freedom of gesture and raw emotional honesty. These paintings are dark, intense, and haunting. The dog is one of his bleakest, but also, strangely, one of my favourites. So much is conveyed with so little. The dog appears to be drowning in an almost empty background. That feeling of drowning in emptiness is something that really resonated with me. It's such an evocative image. We often use colour to talk about emotion. Goya's dog wasn't black, but it might well have been. I was thinking about the idea of the black dog as a metaphor for that low feeling that can come upon us at this time of year. It's actually a metaphor that has been around for millennia, starting in ancient folklore, and it has its roots as far back as the Roman poet Horace in the 1st century BCE. In the 20th century, this idea was adopted and popularised by Winston Churchill. Churchill described his dark moods as a black dog, a symbol for an overwhelming, often invisible, mental struggle. As I live in Suffolk in the UK, it led me to think about some of our local East Anglian folklore and the mythical hound, Black Shuck. We'll go on a journey to the sites of the myth, and I'll tell you all about it. But first, I want to share the early stages of a painting of a beautiful Black Labrador called Ben. I just wanted to show you how how I start a pet portrait painting. I'm about to start this Black Labrador, and oh my goodness, there's my little dog Megan. You don't like me talking to the camera, do you? Right. I just thought I'd show you how I start a pet portrait. So I'm about to work on this Black Labrador, and I start by using a board covered in gesso, and I use what's called an imprimatura layer, so I tone it in a raw umber I've used in this case. And then for pet portraits, I don't do this all the time, but for pet portraits I'll often grid up first of all, basically because it allows for a little more accuracy and people really want their pets to look as they should. So I've used a grid and then I've drawn out, and I've done it actually, I'll show you a bit closer in a minute, but I've done it almost like what's called a notan drawing, where you have the dark and the light areas marked out quite clearly. It's a little different to that, but it gives me a really good basis to start working. I'll do an underpainting in largely raw umber and a bit of ultramarine to get a really rich dark colour, and then I'll go in further layers. I'll sort of block in that layer and then I'll go in further layers with a lot more detail. So anyway, I'll keep you posted. I love the stories that are passed through time in the form of local myth and folklore. It's not that I think they're real, but I love that it tells me something about the people of the past and the way that they inhabited the landscape. One of the most famous stories in East Anglia is that of Black Shuck. A ghostly black dog said to wander along lonely roads and coastlines and churchyards. He's often described as large and shaggy, sometimes with glowing eyes, and occasionally even headless. In some stories, he's an omen of death or disaster, and in others, his presence is more ambiguous, being seen as a companion to travellers. His name is thought to derive from the Old English shucker, meaning devil or fiend, hinting at his darker reputation. One of the most famous stories connected to Black Shuck dates to 1577 and centres on two Suffolk churches, Blythburgh and Bungay. Well, today I've come to Holy Trinity Church at Blythburgh to see for myself. According to contemporary accounts, during a violent storm, a dog was said to have burst into Holy Trinity Church in Blythburgh, running through the nave and causing death and destruction before disappearing. Later that same day, a similar incident was reported at St Mary's Church in Bungay. These events were recorded by Reverend Abraham Fleming, although his sources were local people who might just have exaggerated a little bit. Even so, the scorch marks on the church door at Blythburgh are still visible today, and they're known locally as the Devil's Fingerprints, keeping the legend alive. Some people think Black Shuck is an omen of death. Others consider him a protector or guardian. I like the idea that stories like this don't really have a fixed meaning. Thank you for spending this January moment with me. Join me next month as winter takes its last lap and, I hope, we'll see the first shoots of new growth in the landscape. For now, bye-bye.